In this video, we're going to take a look at adding users in Worldox. Now, if you're the administrator or manager of Worldox, I highly recommend that you have an icon available to you on your desktop for the WD Admin program. This can be found inside the Worldox program folder on the network. To start the utility, just double-click on the icon. It will load, and then access through the menu bar the Users option, Add Edit. At this point, you're going to see all the current users on your system. To add a new user, just click on the green plus symbol in the upper left-hand corner of the toolbar. And you want to start by entering in the user code. User code, you should have mirror whatever the user's login on the network is. This field is limited to 8 characters. And then type in their first name, last name. If this person is going to be a Worldox manager, giving them additional rights on the Worldox system, you would check this box here and then confirm that choice. If it's just a normal user, you don't want to check that box. And then down at the bottom, you'll enter in the user's initials. You see, you do have the option of leaving this blank. However, I do recommend entering in the initials. And where I find this useful, and I always mention this during training, is if your users are saving documents and they notice in the footer stamped that the doc number has a prefix which is their initials, that's telling them that the document has been created offline and is going to need to be synced up to the network once the network connection is reestablished. So it's a good way to point out to them the difference between online saves and offline saves. Next, click on the Network tab. Now at this point, if the person has a very long name, then their network logon was probably truncated by whoever your network administrator is. In that case, what we need to do is use not the default login name, but a user alias. So whatever that truncated name would be entered into this position here. One of the common errors that we see is that the network logon name is not matched with this network tab in Worldox. And if that's the case, then what happens is when the person starts up their computer and Worldox loads, Worldox stops and asks for the user code. So make sure that this matches whatever their network logon is. You shouldn't have to do anything on the email tab, unless of course there was an alias used in the previous tab, network. Security tab. I highly recommend that Worldox is not on the taskbar, so I either leave that as the default or I select no. What that means is if you select yes, when Worldox loads, it becomes a little button down on the taskbar area of the window screen. Mirroring. We typically leave this set at the default, but this is the location that documents will be copied to on the local hard drive of their system. The default location on a Windows XP machine will put this at C, Documents and Settings, whatever their username is, Local Settings, Application Data, Worldox, ZMS, and then there'll be a number code based on the profile group where the document is saved to. And then finally you will see a folder structure based on the design of the profile group. So you'll probably see a client folder, then a matter folder. The documents will be shadowed down to that location in the ZMS structure. Another concern when working with the mirroring tab is if you are in an office that secures documents by users, by groups, locks documents down, if your remote users or your people who travel quite a bit away from the office want to have copied down to their local hard drive secured documents, then you would need to go in and check this box, enable alternate mirror settings, and check this box for securing mirror files. By default, any secured files on the network do not get mirrored down to the hard drive because that is a potential security breach. So if your users do want those secured files mirrored down, make sure that this box is checked. Another concern on this tab is when you are working with a Worldox setup where you have multiple offices and multiple domains, you may have users that travel to other offices that then log into the Worldox system in that alternate office. If you want Worldox files loaded only when the person is in their home server location and only mirrors files down to their hard drive when they are logged into their home server location, you would check this box. On a typical setup though, we would not have to worry about any of these alternate settings. We'd leave that unchecked. And finally, the Web Access tab is only used if you are using the additional Worldox program for remote access. Once you have completed adding the new user, you can click on the Apply button, then click on OK. And then your final step, if you are using Active Directory integration, would be to sync those users. Go up to the Network menu option, Sync AD or Active Directory. Check off all the profile groups, click on Select. The two checked, click on Continue. We can run a quick sync, click on OK. The sync will process. And finally click on No, and then we can close the admin dialog. And the process of adding the new user is complete.